everyone. I am back. I'm just writing to Cody and Livia and Bastian and Nick if they have time and beer to join us.
Yeah, I had to turn my camera mute off because otherwise I was just speaking to myself and it seemed a bit weird.
So, Andy, everything good?
Yes. I think good as it can be. Yeah, I haven't been out of the house in 4 days, but I'll go for a walk later. How about you?
Yeah, I went for a walk in between in the lunch break because
yeah, I need to.
Is it Corona? Corona, or why haven't you left the house?
Oh no, we're just to be fair, it's just like the whole of the UK is in like super lockdown mode at the moment. But it's fine. Like I've just moved into the country for this very reason. So I've got a lovely, I've got a balcony over the river, and I can get on a little kayak and paddle down the river. So I'm going to do that on the weekend.
Nice.
That'll be nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Where are you based, Andy?
So I'm in Hereford at the moment, which is a little city in. It's on the Welsh-English border.
Oh, okay.
But I was in Birmingham, the city. But I mean, when it first broke out a year ago now, I was in Australia and I got stuck in Australia for 3 months. I say stuck in Australia. It was fantastic. Yeah, well, because no one was coming out and everyone was on there was no tourists. Airbnbs dropped to nothing. So we met this woman and she basically gave us her Airbnb, which is a 6-bedroom mansion with a private pool and swimming pool. Put it in perspective, it's normally like 7-8 grand a week, and she gave it to us for 1,500 quid for the month. So it was I was living in that for the last 2 months.
There are worse ways to go.
Right.
Yeah, and then when I came back and I was in Birmingham, I thought, no, this is shit. I've got to go to somewhere a bit because it's just so city. So Hereford's a small city, but it's where our apartment is. It's 2 minutes walk that way, I'm in the country, and 2 minutes walk that way, I'm in the city. So it's quite a nice little balance.
That's awesome.
How about you, Amanda?
I'm in Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay.
Which has been an adventure.
How is it there, Amanda?
It's settled down now, but with the whole insurrection thing in the States, it was pretty wild at the beginning of this year. So, but yeah, the whole city thing, Andy, it's been tough. There's people wear their masks outside. There's people everywhere. I wish I kind of had a little bit more. The nice thing is I live near a park, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I usually.
By the way, guys, cheers.
Oh,
cheers. Sorry, I haven't got my coffee yet.
If you don't mind, I will start mine.
Oh, please.
I
thought you already were, yeah. Y'all should go for it. I'll have a drink later, I promise. It's just a little early for me.
So how, was it really this, because the news media usually tends to overreact a little bit, but was it really that bad with the riots and stuff?
You mean a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Well, it was all concentrated at the Capitol. I live in DC, but there were some stray people running around screaming, but it wasn't anything was happening in the rest of the city. But what happened at the Capitol legitimately was what was on the news, that people broke in and were threatening people, and it was terrible. But the rest of the city was just kind of stunned. They put us on the curfew, and we didn't know what was going to happen, and it did settle down that night. And now that the inauguration's over, everyone's kind of okay, hopefully that's done. But yeah, I love this city generally. It's just been when you're stuck inside all the time and can't do much, it's been tough.
Yeah, so this is I should just show you the view. It's quite nice actually, not to brag or anything. It's just moving to the Is my camera still on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got the river there,
Oh wow.
and then yeah, I've got a big. I'm in the office, but at the front of the building is a huge balcony that goes over it, so you can fish off of it if you wanted.
Oh
I
my
don't
god, that's cool.
I would. I definitely go fishing.
But yeah, I moved here and then just got a kayak delivered off Amazon on the weekend, so I can go kayaking because I need to get out of the house.
How is the lockdown with you, Andy? Do you have a curfew or something?
No curfew. It's just I don't. You know, everything they've done, I don't understand why our airports are always still open. I just don't understand. But yeah, no, it's just no curfew. Just quite strict. If you're seen like more than 10 miles away from your house, they get you with a fine.
Really?
Yeah, unless you're in the middle of the river, because then I can paddle quicker than they can run past it, hopefully. So, yeah, we'll see. But it is.
Are attendees able to join like on video?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Amanda, I've got a question for you as well, because I follow this stuff Fractal do a lot, especially in travel. I follow what Kristen does a lot. And
Chris, I was gonna say with all of you all we're talking about, I was like, she writes about this all the time too.
Yeah, it's so cool. So do you guys have like how do you get that data? Do you have like Python experts in there who scrape it all? I've always been really interested
Kristen does this herself. Like she has like a passion for this. So yeah, I would reach out to her because she loves talking about it, and she actually go ahead.
She helped me massively with a piece like ages ago. So I don't want to keep badgering her. I was hoping to badger you next. But
I know almost nothing about this. Like the most, it was actually that's the reason why I met Hamlet, was because he and Kristen did like a Fractal podcast episode where it was honestly amazing to watch the two of them talk about this for like an hour and a half. They, you know, even for somebody like me who didn't know anything about it, I got a lot out of it. But Kristen she's like, just, that's her passion. Like it's not.
Oh, she's incredible at it. Well, so the piece I had, and she came up with an answer straight away. It's like, basically, I had this client who, I mean, this is the sort of way her brain, and she reeled this back to me within 2 hours of me asking. I thought, that's genius. I had this client, and he basically his business is, he trains people, like rich people with nice cars, how to drive their car better, which sounds like a really weird business proposition, but it actually gets quite a lot of customers from it. So, like, say if you've got a Ferrari or whatever, you'll pay him and he'll take you around. He's got like a big track, and he'll take you on that with the skid pans and stuff and show you how to drive it really well. Anyway, not much content I could write about that, but I was thinking I really want to write about the top 10, so like the top 10 best driving roads in the UK or something was my idea. But I said the reason I went to Christian is like Top Gear and all these big newspapers have already written this because they know all the roads, they've driven it all. So I want to do it with a data-led approach. Have you got any ideas? And she was like, well, yeah, there's this library, this one. They were like, this one grades the bend of the road, this one grades how high it is topologically on a map. So I put it all together and I started working on it. Basically, yeah, rating the top 10 best roads in the UK based off a machine learning algorithm, which
That's so cool.
basically judges the bends, how big the waves are, the speed limits. It looks at traffic, like how likely there is to be traffic on the road, and it even looks at, and I didn't know this data set even existed, it even looks at the surface of the road and what that's made out of.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's really so. But I just don't know how you find that data was going to be my question.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do not have the answer to that question. Seriously, Kristen would not mind answering that question for you. Like, this is what she loves to talk about.
I have just Googled and read that any participant can be promoted to a panelist and can join us with video and audio.
That would be awesome. I want to shout out Alice, because I just looked at the attendees. I'm like, I know Alice. Like, I don't know if everyone's still active, but hi. You guys should join us for a little chat.
Yeah, if anyone wants to join us with video and audio, just please write in the chat and I will promote you to a panelist. let's just see if
Yeah, Q&A popped up.
anyone wants to join in the discussion.
But yeah, Kristen, if anybody hasn't followed, it's Kristen Tinsky we're talking about.
Yeah.
And she did a thing called This Marketing Blog Does Not Exist, I think it is, .com.
Mm.
And it's literally just made up of all, I think it was GTP3, where just populated it with content that if you read it carefully, you realize that it wasn't written by a human being, but it's incredible how much further that GTP3 has gotten in replicating and creating content from just like pretty simple inputs.
Yeah, stuff like Fractured. I mean, yeah, she posts about it all in this Slack channel, Traffic Think Tank, and the stuff she does is, I love reading them. They're so clever. I just wanted now to get the data, like how you even find it, because I Google it. Like, okay, I wouldn't even know what to Google for that, right? I wouldn't even know what to Google, and that's the problem, isn't it?
I know she's definitely on Reddit, but there is one other site that I can't remember that she told me about that she gets a lot of these from, so I can ask her.
Are you on Data is Beautiful on Reddit? That's a really good source
she's
of
definitely on
inspiration.
there.
Yeah, that's a really good source of inspiration.
Absolutely. Come on, y'all, join. Sorry, I'm like the extroverted one who's like always getting, like trying to get people to, like at conferences in person, I'm always trying to get everyone to go to karaoke with me. Varying levels of success.
Well, thanks for putting this together, Mare. It's, honestly, it sounds sad. It's probably the first social event I've had in, because I've given up on the family games. I'm sick of them. So this is the first social event I've had in a long time. So thanks for putting it together.
Sure. Glad to have you here, Andy.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. I forgot to mention it. I don't know if you saw it. Jurgita Stonje said, "Thank you all for awesome talks." So, I guess we made some people happy with our content and with the event.
I've had a few people message me on Twitter as well, and they're wondering if there's going to be a download. I've had at least 4 people who didn't get on this who want to download, so I was wondering if I could respond to them. I don't know the answer to it.
Actually, all attendees, or everyone who applied over the website, will get all the slides sent to them, and we will post the recording live.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
This bit's been. Yeah, I'll just come back to them. Nice, yeah. What are you working on anything cool, Harry?
Just a second. There is Saif says, "Thank you all so very much for all the content, very insightful and happy to be part of." Saif, do you want to join us and have a beer with us?
No pressure. But thank you, that's very nice. We're cool, I promise. We're nice. We're nice people.
Nobody bites.
Like, if I wasn't doing this, I don't know what I would be. I'd be in like sweatpants, with ridiculous hair. So I get people not wanting to immediately jump on camera if they weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
That happens to me sometimes when I interview people for the podcast, and I usually just start on audio because I don't want people to feel like pressure to jump on video. But sometimes they'll start on video. And I'm like, oh man,
that's it.
I don't look right.
When that happens. It's like the digital equivalent of when you shake the hand and they go for the high five and whatever. It's really, isn't it?
So yeah. I get it, everyone. If you don't want to.
Yeah, but still, we got a couple of people still with us, enjoying our company, and yeah.
Matt, I keep thinking I pronounce your name wrong. If I'm
honest.
You are. So, Matt, yeah, why haven't you corrected me? How do I pronounce it?
Actually, it's Mare.
Mare, okay. Mare.
Yeah,
I knew I was pronouncing it wrong. I just wish you'd corrected me. You working on anything cool, Mare?
Yeah, I get that always, because in English language it's actually pronounced Mare, pronounced Mare, so I just don't make a big deal out of it.
You're just
And I
used
can
to
make
it.
Enjoying the conversation from Dubai.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, got someone from Dubai.
This is a very
Enjoying himself
international event.
also, I think, in Dubai. Don't you have anything better? I'm just kidding. This is an amazing event.
Mari, I was wondering, do you have like because I do the thing that obviously you correctly pointed out wasn't accurate, in that I apply like a click-through rate to keywords based on advanced web rankings, and it's not very accurate.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have a version of that, like based on whether a keyword's transactional or not, like factors that in. Like, have you got your own click-through rate type curve? Because that would be interesting. You know what I mean? I can't.
Yeah. Go.
I'd imagine it'd be quite difficult to put together, but like saying like if the keyword is transactional, it's going to have a lower click-through rate because shopping's going to be there. I'm wondering if you've got like a formula that does that.
Actually, we got, I rely on this, let me just share this. I rely on this research from Sister, because this was it's really recent. It was in July 2020.
Yeah.
And it was, the only thing is it was just mobile, which makes it of course very relevant, but doesn't cover desktop. Yeah. So I think this is for yeah. So this is the curve for transactional keywords that involve Google Shopping. So basically products.
Oh yeah, I see it now.
You see? So I just, what I do is, I just manually, if I do primary research with the client in the first session or something, I just put the keyword in Google and see what the intent is. I just see what comes with this. If I see that it's a product and Google Shopping comes and Google Ads, then I just more or less use a combination of these two curves.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Ads, and this is shopping.
I'll refer back to that. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I think this also changed because I used to do it, a little bit more simply with the averages. But this is really, when you compare 13% for Google Shopping with 46% for snippets, so feature snippets. And you understand that it's quite a big difference, and you can't use averages. Even though the conversion rate, of course, also matters, because with the commercial intent keywords, the conversion rate, of course, is better. So you have to calculate it. Specifically for the branch. You got to know what the conversion rate is for the commercial intent keywords and what for blogs and stuff, so beginning of the customer journey, and then use the appropriate click rates.
That's super interesting. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to come up with a better way of doing it.
Yeah, we'll actually, I think we'll be sharing a tool that just really easily changes. You can just just enter what kind of search intent is and make the calculation. So
yeah, I like that.
You don't have to do it manually.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll share that with the attendees, and of course, I can send it to you.
No, thanks very much. That's really useful. Amanda, I think I saw one of the most tangential bits of content I've ever seen on a site the other day. It was for a career site. I think Indeed or Monster.com. So same thing. And they were ranking. They had one bit of content that was ranking for loads of good keywords. I was like, oh, this is great. But it was called "What to Do When the Zombies Come." I'm hoping you'll agree with me. That was a bit too tangential. It wasn't had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with work at all.
Nothing. What does it do with a zombie? And I was thinking, it didn't even have links, so it was complete. But it was ranking really well for zombie attacks.
Yeah, that might be a little too far off.
Okay, I'm glad. I just wanted to get it from you that I wasn't out of place to say this is too far.
Yeah, no, it definitely happens, and I think that's where you can get into trouble, like people were kind of alluding to earlier, where it's like, is it bad if it's like completely irrelevant? Yeah, it is. Has anybody, people who are still watching this, I'd love it in the chat box if you can say like what your biggest challenges are right now, or whether it's SEO or content. Also, if you've ever tried tangential content before, because I think people have been doing that tactic and they just don't even know. Like, because it's just like kind of like a made up phrase to describe what it is. But you see it on blogs a lot.
Could you call them like, I think I've heard the term like affinity audiences, or is that different? Like targeting like affinity, like people sort of interested in it, or is that a different thing, would you say?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what context that's been used. It kind of reminds me of, I was just talking to Dan Sugar yesterday for the podcast, and he wasn't using the term tangential content, but he was talking about top of the funnel, like blog posts, and how they're really good. Some of the extra benefits they have is like getting these affinity audiences for like social retargeting. So I think that there's a lot of like complementary benefits to some of these things, but yeah, I'm not sure if that's exactly the same. I'm not sure what context people were using when they were talking about that. But
well, as in, so how I've sometimes come up with ideas is maybe I've just pulled the word from analytics. So I've dropped into, I've got clients who sell these water dispensers, as an example, and if you drop into Google Analytics or ads, you can see the affinity audiences, so you can see the other stuff they're interested in. So I try and, providing I can get something vaguely related. So an example is I've been doing work for an old people's home, like a network of them in the States actually, and we ran out of content to talk about like how much the senior care costs living and what to do when your granddad's got dementia. We ran out of all that, so I was looking at the affinity audiences, and people on that site are obviously going to be, well, anyway, I was looking at the affinity audiences in Google, and a big percentage of the customers who are on that site, their affinity likes are food. So now we've started to write content on, how to cook a great meal for your family when and it's performing really well. But I got the idea from looking at that affinity audiences and analytics of what people on my site are interested in.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's a great ideation technique. So I feel like it's not the same as tangential content, but it's a route of getting there. That makes a lot of sense. That's cool. Yeah,
but
that's
Anna, could you say that tangential content is basically even before the top of the funnel or the beginning of the customer journey? So even
sometimes
a little bit outside of that.
Yeah, sometimes depending on how you define like what the top of your funnel is, because for some people it's just awareness, right? So if you're thinking like you're just getting your brand name out there, when we work with people, we still have to narrow down exactly why they're hiring us. So like, why do you want, we don't only do tangential content, but say they come to us and they think we want to build the authority of our brand. Like that might look a little differently in terms of where in the funnel we're going. We might go a little bit closer to what they do. And it's still like an awareness play within their space. Whereas opposed to if you're doing the link building side and it's less relevant, that might be like very general awareness. Like we exist as a brand, like to anybody, because you're not really that concerned about the awareness part, you're more concerned about the link part. So it can kind of exist outside of like any kind of actual like marketing or sales funnel, but mostly it fits in with the awareness. Sometimes even, can be middle. Some of those examples are kind of borderline both, because they would talk a little bit about the product in some way. But yeah, usually it hovers around just getting the brand name out there.
What's the podcast, Amanda? I want to see this podcast. I'm getting into podcasts lately.
Yeah, you should come on. It's called Cashing In on Content Marketing. So it's specifically for people who want to better understand the value of their work and then communicate that to get buy-in for it, and like keep showing the value of different marketing tactics, specifically around content.
Cash in on content marketing.
Caching. That might be what it's
caching.
Caching.
Saif wants to get in, guys. I just saw that he wrote that he would be happy to join by video.
Cool.
Okay, so Saif, send me your email.
I have subscribed, Amanda.
Saif.
Thank you. Yeah, you should come on because I think I'm just finalizing my Q1 guess. It's so much fun for me. Like I just get to ask people questions about things I don't like. We go outside the realm of my expertise so often that I learn a ton doing it. It's really fun.
Yeah, I always wanted to start one, and I just keep thinking I'm too late to the game now. So I thought Clubhouse was going to be. I was going to try and make that my thing, and I haven't done that either.
Well, it is so time consuming. Like you can't dictate when you're on there, you know. It's like you have to see what else is going on and then jump on at a moment's notice. Like
Andy, I was curious about, because in the beginning of your talk you said how you want to remain small but service only big clients. Did I understand this correctly?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I think a main pitch, and Ruth touched on a lot of it actually, which was really nice to hear. Seems like we're trying to sort of attack similar goals. A big part of why we're making all these tools and investing basically everything back into them is I want to stay small. So Siganthan and I have obviously partnered up, and I've always said I want to stay small. So the first company I owned had 20 employees, and it was a nightmare. Like I said, I don't think I was a particularly good manager. I just wanted to be everyone's mate, and I couldn't draw that boundary between. I didn't like it. The dynamics didn't suit me. I'd much rather have a small company with maybe a few subcontractors, but basically our tools are taking off a big chunk of the legwork. So I mean, I'm happy to share maybe a sneak peek of what we're building, because not many people have seen it. But the whole idea is the other thing is we don't want to be another agency. There's some great agencies there, but we want to be a consultancy. And by maintaining that distinction, we're still working for agencies. So actually, I'd say half of our clients are agencies who are white labeling what we do. And in fact, our tools that we're building are all being built on subdomains that can be white labeled, etc., etc. So our aim is to stay small, consult. We offer these big things like I think our keyword research is our sort of main deliverable. I think if you were to see how we present it, it's not like a normal keyword research. It gets presented with all these other insights and stuff. And we're building a tool actually. So to bring this back, all these tools exist at the moment for keyword research to pull your keywords and get all your data, get the search for and get the keywords. There's not one tool that actually exists yet that helps you make sense of that data. So it's up to you to be good with Excel and pivot it the way you want it to do it. So we're trying to plug that gap. So our tools are basically, okay, we're not competing against Ahrefs and SEMrush. You've pulled all that data. Now dump it in our tool and it'll help you make sense of it. That's what we're trying to come up with. And by doing that, we can stay small. So then we can basically we can do the keyword research for them as a managed service, or they can do it themselves. Dump it in our tool and we'll comb through it and find like what they need to do. So like, okay, look, you may think you want to be doing this, but we strongly recommend doing this part, and this is how you do it. If you've got your own writers, great. If not, we're being completely open. We don't have writers, but we've got a very good team of subcontractors who we trust, who we picked, who can do it. So that's how we're sort of growing it.
Basically tool plus consulting.
Yeah, it's a weird. My friend asked me the other day, he goes, who's your competitor? I was like, we don't really have one. It's a bit of a weird mix, and for better or worse, I don't know how it's going to play. Maybe we need to pick a lane and go in it. But yeah, I think essentially that's where we are at the moment.
Yeah, I'd love to see what y'all are working on.
Yeah, why don't you share it a little bit?
Oh, go on then. I'll
share your screen.
Let me see if Siganthan bollocks me. Let me get the things up. Bear with me. So, 2 seconds. I wasn't prepared for this one. okay, you're gonna have to talk because it's making me feel really pressured to find something.
Find it fast.
So Amanda,
We're waiting.
Please talk. It's making me feel really pressured to find
No,
it.
Amanda. Hey, it's karaoke time, right?
Oh,
I can sing
please,
something.
don't tempt me. Listen,
Oh, come on.
You know, it's funny because, first of all, there is a Facebook group called Quarantine Karaoke that has hundreds of thousands of people in it, and it's literally just people who go live singing karaoke. It is kind of incredible. Like, people all over the world singing all kinds of stuff. I've never seen anything on Facebook like it. So if you just want to be entertained for a little bit and see what's going on over there, check it out. But part of the problem is you can't sing on Zoom. Like, once somebody starts singing, like, nobody else can ever talk or say anything, or the sound gets so distorted. And the only reason I know that is because
You tried it.
Yeah, right? No, I have friends who, like, run karaoke companies and stuff who have tried. They have tried, and it just, like, has not worked. Oh, somebody has a question. Oh, wow. That's a great question, Jerry. I'm so bad at answering these because I can never think off the top of my head, like I know in the moment. Best example...
I'll just read it out loud.
Yeah.
What is the best example of content any of you have come across that has made you an advocate for the product or service?
Oh God, that is a good question.
That would be a great blog post if somebody wants to write this up with a bunch of examples like that, because that's a really good question.
I'll tell you who I can tell you who consistently, in my opinion, does well is IKEA and Burger King. Those two absolutely kill it in terms. I mean, if you're not talking just about a blog post, Burger King and IKEA's like their PR stunts they pull are just fantastic.
Burger King is too much.
It's so funny. Like the way they sort of goad McDonald's, I think it's so funny. So they're two brands who I think consistently, in my opinion, do quite well. I do enjoy watching what they do. And then in the UK, we've got a big British company called John Lewis. And I don't know how they've done it, but for some reason, every year people get excited about what Christmas ad they're going to release. Like everyone's like, oh, when's the John Lewis ad coming? And however they've built that up has been, and their ads are always spot on, so they've done well as well. So those three, I think John Lewis, Burger King, and IKEA for me, consistently do it well.
There is a company in Germany. They are a retailer in grocery retailer, one of the biggest. And every year on Christmas, they release some kind of video that is really heart-quenching. You know, like it really makes you emotional. Like some of their videos have like, I don't know, 10 million views on YouTube. It's absolutely amazing. The story. I remember one ad was how the father, he had children and they were all grown up and out of the house, and nobody basically, they didn't stay in touch, they didn't write, or they constantly had excuses about why they're not coming home and stuff. And then he sent them all a card that he had died. And they all immediately came, and then he came back when they were there, and he came there, and everybody was,
oh my God,
but it was made just basically to show them, did I have to die for you to come and see me, right? And it was really it's an emotional video.
Wow. Well, emotion, that's that's a big component of all of this. Yeah. So Jerry followed up and said, using those examples, can we agree that the best medium for content advocacy is video?
Using your examples, can we agree?
It depends, because like my example was going to be really lame, and I was going to say there's some brands like REI where they have amazing blogs, and like I had mentioned this before, where I think a lot of people miss the opportunity of like helping people who have your products. Like they have articles about literally everything related to anything outdoors. So if you have a question about how to do something, like I was looking at camping and biking stuff, they have content for all of it. And that kind of stuff, I think, builds trust in them. Like, you'll go back to them because you know they have all the answers that you're looking for. So it's two different levels we're talking about. We're talking about, like, the trust side, but also just, like, the emotional, like, oh my god, I feel this attachment to this brand now because it made me feel something. And that's, video is good for that, but a lot of things can be good for that. Audio, you know, people are obsessed with podcasts now because it feels really personal. You have somebody's voice in your ear, you know, that's hard. That's why Clubhouse is interesting too. It feels weirdly personal.
I think it's a distinguish. You have to see with a commodity, because with a commodity like you know, groceries or Coca-Cola, a drink, you know, you have to evoke some kind of emotion. You can't say we're a professional in producing a liquid. You know, nobody cares about that. You know, but we produce happiness.
Yeah, this is how you'll feel.
Freedom, or you know. This is something that, but if you're looking for a specialist, you know, if I'm going on Mount Everest, you know, then I want someone who can explain that they know what they're doing, and they can give me the best equipment for that.
That's a great point, because Coke doesn't need you to trust them. You already know what it tastes like if you've had a Coke before, and they're trying to remind you of how you want to feel and how that ties with Coke. Like, our ads are all about, like, yeah, life is great, you know, like when you're drinking Coke, everything's fantastic. I don't know if anybody listens to Hidden Brain. I love this NPR podcast. They just talk about all kinds of psychology topics, but the one they just did was like a great intro to advertising and branding and marketing, because it was about like people's personal brands tying into actual brands, how brands have to create stories to get people to buy into them. And that's kind of exactly, you know, what these videos are saying, like, this is what our values are, and if you like us and you wear us or drink us or whatever, this is what you are, or how you can identify yourself. And it's very interesting.
Nike do that very well, don't they? Like, if you go on Nike's, any of them, there's no writing, it's just images. This is the lifestyle you'll have with Nike, which is quite a good way, yeah. Gymshark do that as well.
Like Apple, it's the Simon Sinek, the golden circle, right? The why, how, what, and principle, how to people do not buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Mm-hmm. Because they want to identify themselves with your purpose. And with Nike, they want to identify themselves with athlete and athleticism and freedom and these emotions that inspire them. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
That's why I look at a lot of videos from Steve Jobs and stuff like that, because I think most of all, he was just a great marketer. You know, he really managed to tell a story. I mean, even if you look at his final Stanford address, you know, how he said, you know, I'm just going to tell you 3 stories. Nothing special, but this is how, you know, how messages in the old age, where they were sitting around a campfire and they were telling each other stories. And this is how we people actually learn and absorb information. So storytelling, that's why storytelling is the best format. What the format is it video or is it written? I think it just depends on the situation.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, and I've never, maybe that's a good like topic for someone to cover in one of these summits, is how to tell a story with data, of which I imagine Fracture would be amazing in it, because all these are about how to get links or how to drive traffic or how we merge these sites or how to do keyword research. I think telling a story is such an important part. I learned the hard way. So when I joined this agency I told you earlier, through this website, I've gone from being my own boss for 5 years to being managed by someone, which just didn't. To begin with, I wasn't like, it was just so I wasn't used to it.
Yeah.
But like when I was making these decks or presentations, she'd have me in the room. She goes, "This is shit. He doesn't tell a story." And I used to get so frustrated for the first 3 or 4 months until it clicked, and like she made me so much better at story. To this day, I'm best friends with her. For the first 3 months, I hated her. My manager, I hated her, and she'll tell you now. Now I'm best friends with her because she made me tell stories 100 times better. And like, she'd be looking at the presentation I'd made. She goes, "What's the narrative here? Like, why have you put this slide in? Is it advancing your story, your point, or is it just a graph?" and everything she made me, like, she was brilliant at it. And I got taught that over, you know, a few months. I'd love to see a presentation on that from someone like her. But Fracture would be really good at that, because that's all you do is telling story out of data. But I think that's a superpower, is that being able to do that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because you have to think about you almost have to have a thesis when you go into like analyzing data. You're like, okay, what am I thinking I'm going to find from this? And then you're either, you know, you either confirm that or find out it's something different. And then we don't even get, like, when we put it all together, like, we have to have that narrative in our heads, like what data do we want to feature in what order, but we don't editorialize at all, because when we pitch it to media, they want to be the ones to build their own kind of story out of it. So it's like this very interesting in-between of, we know like why this data is interesting and how to frame it as like the bare bones of a narrative, and then the writer wants to come in and fill in like their perspective or add whatever angle they want to add. But you have to do it well enough that they can see the narrative in what you give them, right? They can't like just be a bunch of stuff. Like, you have to say, like, these are the interesting statistics because this is the story behind them. This is what makes it interesting.
But even extrapolating that and applying it to like technical SEO, so that's obviously to get linked from, and it definitely needs to have a good narrative. But like, she drilled this into me with technical SEO, of which I'm not advanced at, but we were like reporting on it nonetheless. And when we present like a big thing full of like, yeah, this is what you need to sort, it didn't land. It needed to have a story behind it. Like, this is why it's in, like some form of narrative, even with technical SEO. And we found it got implemented so much easier with a lot less red tape. So. And it's simple when you say it, isn't it? So like, if I said like, yeah, you need to explain why you're doing it, what it will do, and what will be the outcome, you'll go, yeah, of course it does. But it wasn't until I actually saw someone do it, or my manager used to show me, no, that's not how you do it, I realised, oh shit, yeah, there is another level to this. Like, my storytelling isn't good enough. And I think that's something that goes underreported in SEO, is if your agency side anyway, storytelling is such a powerful thing to be able to do, to get ideas across the line, or to get links if you're in the PR side of it as well. But yeah,
absolutely, that like internal buy-in piece of just being able to, because like we're saying, it's not just marketers and audience, it's literally any person it's going to resonate with them more if you have a story. So if you're trying to convince somebody to do a tactic or implement your suggestions, if you're able to show them, like, walk them through, okay, this isn't just what we're doing, but imagine what the end's going to look like, you know, like paint them that picture and like what this is going to mean and all this, it's much more effective.
That's why I talked about show them the money. That is basically what they, in the end, everyone wants to hear and know what's going to cost me and what is it going to bring me, what's this relationship. And you wouldn't believe, but here I think it's much different in the US, and I think it's also different in the UK. But here, the understanding of the potential that digital marketing and digital has, what kind of an impact it can bring to a company, is so much worse than with you guys. So when you come into a company, the first thing, our biggest assignment is that our main lead sales guy, that he may, is it me or my partner, it depends, how well can he paint a picture within the company and get the buy-in from the management. And because a lot of companies are bigger companies, they don't even have a real good people in place, you know, so that they don't even have the digital understanding that you need. They don't have a person you can talk to there, and you have to, it's called digital transformation here in the German-speaking part of the Europe, and this has been a trend for the last 5 years. It's basically just these old companies that just grew, the legacy companies that have very little digital understanding, especially in the upper levels, and how do they now digitalize, and how agency must come in. And it doesn't matter how good you are, it matters how good can you transport how good you are within the company.
That's really interesting. Yeah,
That's
I think it still happens in the States. It's just more granular now. It's like getting enough budget for a certain type, right? But yeah, like that's really interesting that that's what's going on over there. And that's why I started the podcast, because I was going to conferences and everybody that I talked to was saying they had the same issue, which was just getting buy-in and approval for things. Like it's just like a universal problem to a different extent. Yeah. You know, some places are more accepting, but it's tough.
Yeah, I always say that Germany is like 2 to 3 years behind the US, and Austria and Switzerland is like, I don't know, 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
But I don't know where the UK is. Maybe Andy, you can tell me that.
I'm going to sound arrogant here. I think the UK is in front of the US, and the reason I say that is I've got experience with both. Most of my clients, by the way, are US based. In fact, I only have 2. That's why I want to move to the US part of it. It makes my life so much easier. But so the way I break this down, and the reason I think this is because you've got to think about it. In the UK, we have all the same, well, not the same, not quite, but we've got big businesses, but we're all crammed into a tiny island, and we're all vying over the business a lot more. There's a lot of agencies in a very small space, so it's like a race to. That's my justification. Before I get into why I think we're in front, I think. Do you know? I don't know why I think we're in front. Maybe it's just arrogance. I just think.
Maybe it's just the whiskey.
No, it's not. It's because when I used to speak to our branch out in America, they were doing things that we'd already done. So I've got such a microcosm. It's not fair, actually. Yeah, that's maybe not fair.
Maybe you should.
Well, no, it's an interesting point though, because there's probably just like such a high volume of all different agencies and consultancies in the U.S. that like. If you were to look at all of them, I have no idea on average like how they what level they're all on. So it's hard to say, really. Maybe it's completely unfounded. My basis was that there's a lot of us in a tiny little place. I know. So one of our biggest clients was when I was in Germany, and they came to a UK agency because they weren't getting. Do you know Canyon, the bike company? Yeah. So that was one of our biggest clients, and they obviously came to us in the UK.
But for the German market or for the UK market?
All of it. We did all their markets. We did. So if you
did German market SEO?
Yeah. So this was Krau's model. We had freelancers in every country. So what we would do the strategy and push it out to get localized, and it would come back. So if you look at, I'm very proud. If you look at Canyon's hreflang and all of that stuff. Proudest moment, because it was the most complex thing I've ever had to look at. But it's like had to do the hreflang for it. They've got 170 language sites, so there's a hreflang tweet. So whenever anyone asks me, can you show me a good example of hreflang? I mean, I don't know if it's good. I hope it's doing well, because I'm not at that crowd anymore. But that's the one I send them. And now we did all their markets. But I don't know why. I probably just started talking shit. Maybe America's a lot better than the UK. But I just know there's a lot of competition in the UK in such a tiny space. And all the businesses, especially local. I mean, I don't know jack about local SEO. Well, other than the basics, make a Google My Business and optimize it. But especially when it comes down to local SEO, it's very difficult because you're vying with. I mean, it takes 5 hours to drive from one end of the country to the other. So you're vying with someone who can really almost show on the same map back and things. So it's such a race to who can outbetter them in some ways.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, small markets, just if the concentration of the agencies is bigger, then of course you need to be better. Otherwise, you will not survive. That makes sense. But I think if you ask Nick, he might disagree.
He'll definitely disagree with me. I don't actually know why I don't know why I said it. I have absolutely no evidence.
I hate to hop off, but I have to. I'm late to another meeting. But this has been really wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's been really fun chatting with you, and hopefully you'll get to do this again soon.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Amanda. And I've just
Nice
got
to meet
everything
you.
ready as well. But
oh, it's okay. I want to see it. I'll be a little later.
You sure?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
I'll go through it quickly.
Yeah.
You are one of only about 10 people who've seen it so far.
Wow.
So, well, 8, 9, 10, 11 now. Do give me honest feedback if you think it's going to be useless or not. Because I have just insulted all of America, I guess. And Germany. In fact, everyone. So, I'm going to give you background behind how we present our keyword research, which will show you why we're working what we're working. So when we do, and I've used Gymshark as an example, they're not a client of ours, it's just easy to pull their data. So whenever we do keyword research, we have the keyword and we categorize them into 3 categories, like a top level one, so men's, women's, whatever, subcategory hoodies, jackets, and a style, or like their facet as you'd call this, which could be style, color, could we have other facets as well. And then we apply like a custom algorithm to it. It's quite simple, but it grades each keyword on how optimized it is, and it gives it red, amber, or green. So if it was red, it means it's not optimized at all. If it's amber, it means it's somewhat optimized, and if it's if it's green, it means you are optimized. So generally speaking, red is content development, amber is your quick wins, and green is link building if you don't rank number 1 and it's green. Really basically, but that's how it is. And we pull through all this other stuff, average monthly searches, your rank, all of that stuff. I just wanted to show you that because this is a spreadsheet, but it leads into why we've developed what we have. So the first, and the reason we grade it all as that is because you can roll it up and you can see at a category level which category needs focusing on. So I actually used this to demonstrate to Shopify why their facets didn't work. So showing them, if you scroll down, Gymshark, who's a huge brand, aren't visible for any facets for like color, size, or style because of the way their faceted navigation works. So doing it like this and rolling it up really quickly shows you at a category level what you're not optimized for. This is just a glorified spreadsheet. So the first challenge we had was, I mean, this was 6,000 keywords, and to categorize them all took quite a while. It used to take us, maybe 30, 40 hours. So the first challenge was solving, okay, how can we quickly categorize them into 3 categories? So that's what the first part of this tool does. So what it does is you paste all your keywords in here, you give it the categories you want it to, and the things in brackets are just a bit of training data. So you're basically saying, look, bottoms, I also want to include jogger, tracksuit, whatever, but a bit of training data. And then when I hit categorize keywords, it vectorizes it all and then tries to sort it out, which is what happens in this tab, and it will grade. It's a bit of an iterative process. So I ran it just as we were talking. It got 100% in 1, 34% in 2, and 29% in 3. All I do here now is train any that it missed out. So in here I might correct it. So I put that as accessories if you didn't get accessories, and train a few of them. It wouldn't need to be many, maybe a couple of, 50 or whatever. I then hit it again. It would learn off the training data, and then we'd all of a sudden see this is 60%, this is maybe 40. Anyway, I've run that a few times, and so this part of the tool has taken our categorization from 40 hours to about 3 or 4 hours. So still manual, but considerably less.
That's amazing.
That's the first part.
Cool.
Thank you very much. And it was really exciting because it was the biggest problem for us. That's the first part. Then the second part is the intent, which is a big thing, and this is what I was mentioned to Kevin Indig. So you'll see here a first iteration. When we pulled the intent, you can see we actually pulled it as transactional, informational, visual, local, all of this, and we did try and break that down, and that's based on live search results with NLP laid on top of it. So we actually did pull through the intent. And what I mean when I answered that question was I found this really hard to actually do anything actionable with. At the end of the day, I want to create a piece of content. What should I do? So this was, and this is still there. If you hit this button, that's what that will produce. But if you hit this button, context and cluster, we called it keyword context just to give it a different name. But context, you'll see, now for every keyword says, look, for the 10 results for this keyword, 7 is a product page, 1 is a blog, and 1 we can't categorize. And it's so useful. There's a few, I just need to change the number, but it's so useful, like 6. And if you scroll down, you'll see which ones of these are like more article based. So if I scroll for one that's like that one, oh, that wasn't a good example. But yeah, like bodybuilding women's workout, it is quite clearly an article one. So 7 are going to be blog, 0 are product, and 1 is. So we can really quickly see what type of content we need to create. The second part of that is it also clusters them. So it looks at, you can see when we pasted in here, we pasted the search volume. So it clusters them into keywords with a 90% accuracy on, these are how many keywords you can target with one page, or you'll need to break it out. So it clusters them. So for every keyword, it gives its head cluster. So for this keyword, it gives like the keyword that it could sit under, like can all be targeted on one page. So when you put that into a pivot table and roll it in with the with that context I showed you, what you get is really quickly you can start to see, okay, for the keyword female bag, female gym bag, these are all the keywords with 90% accuracy that you can rank on that one page. So you don't need to spin out more content for it. And then what you can do is actually see, if you roll it back up again, you can really quickly find your content opportunities, so all your product pages. So I'm scanning down here, let's say I want to find some content opportunities. I'm scanning down here and I'm going to try and find one with a high article count, because this is average, right? So this one, it's got a high article count, men's swimwear, which is interesting. So I imagine it's going to be like a lot of top 5 best swimwear or whatever. So it helps you really quickly do that. So this is also a spreadsheet at the moment, but the actual logic behind this, and oh yeah, these hypernyms help us come up with other words to categorize in. So say if I have a word like sweatshirt and I want to find all the other words around sweatshirt to do the categorization, what I would be doing is hitting this, and it will find those other words that I need to start categorizing against. So this is all sat on Google Cloud, and this Google Sheet is being built onto an online tool. And in the next 2 or 3 weeks, the context and clustering part of it are going to be, you pay per credit. So you upload 10,000 keywords, and it's going to cost you, we haven't worked out the pricing, but let's say 1,000 keywords for $5, and it will cluster them all and work out the context for all of them in 5-10 minutes. The second part of the tool is replacing this Google Sheet, which is what we send as a deliverable to the clients at the moment, and what we want to white label onto this, which is keyworddecipher.com. So instead of giving them a Google Sheets, what we'll give them is like a link, and here they can play with their data whatever they want, and it's going to have buttons. So this is the same as the Google Sheet with a lot more data, so you can zoom in at the graphs and find out where you need to be focusing on. So for these guys, dab and wax vaporizers was an example, and then when you click, if you narrow down the category, the subcategories will filter accordingly, and then you can find your quick wins really quickly. So I can choose what columns I want in here, and it will add these on, and then I can find any keywords where the rank is low. And you can imagine when I add that clustering in as well, I can really quickly start to find quick wins, and we're going to have buttons that help them find it for them. So this is what I'm saying, we're going to help people make sense of their keyword research. It's going to have like find me quick win buttons here, and they'll click it and it will adjust the filters. Because I've been working with these sheets so much, I know which filters to apply to find the quick wins. We're going to automate that for them, so they literally click a button and it will find it for them. It will also show them, as I showed you that cluster, it's not built into here yet. In fact, I was just talking to my developer and it should be on here by tonight. But you'll click a button here and it will show you the pages that you should break out into 2 based on all that clustering. And it will show you all them really quickly. So this is the end product really. And this is like this will be like a credits-based product where other people can use it and get their intent or their context or whatever.
That's
so
awesome.
that's it. I hope it was worth waiting for, Amanda.
Yeah, no, please. I mean, like I said, this is not my area, so when I get to like see what people are doing in this realm, I mean, this is incredible. There's a lot of really great applications to this, to see like the end result of this. You should be really proud.
I'm just excited because, I mean, I don't want everyone to jump on it and beat me to it, but all the tools out there at the moment get you all the keywords, but there's nothing there that helps you make sense of it, and that's what we're trying to just plug with this.
Yeah, like the fact that you were just saying, like, here are all the keywords you can include in one post. Like, you don't have to sit there and, like, here's how to split them up. Like, all those really practical things that you can take away very quickly. That's awesome. That's very cool.
Oh, thank you very much, Amanda. I appreciate that.
It is.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I appreciate you pulling that up.
Yeah, Andy, I think we will discuss this further. You said you do white labeling. I think this.
Yes, that whole keyword decipher has been built on a subdomain on purpose, so that you and your agency can send them the link, and they'll play with it under your name, and it'll look class. That's what we're going for.
I think that's a great business model.
Yeah.
Actually,
We don't want to be another agency. That was my point. We just want to stay small. You guys use this. If you want us to do the keyword research for you, great. But you'll have the link and send to your client under your name.
Awesome. Actually, somebody from our audience said, "Brilliant stuff, Andy. Loving your tool. Will you ever go public with it?"
Public? Like, that's a long way off. I mean, this is still a man in a basement job. This is, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, thank you for. I have to hop off, but thank you for sharing that. That was very cool to see. Keep us posted.
Amanda, lovely to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, really great to meet you too. Thank you.
And Amanda, to you, thank you that you stayed. It was lovely chatting with you and here in the hand.
Yeah, I will cheers to you all from the States later.
We are waiting for a photo with you and the beer in your hand, or a glass of wine.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much for the great talk that you made and all the contribution to the event. It was really valuable and I loved everything.
Awesome, I'm so glad.
And I have to tell you, you write awesome emails. They always make me smile. With such heart and emotion, and it's really
that's so nice. Yeah, you don't often hear feedback on how your emails resonate, so that's great.
I thought I have to tell you this.
Thank you. All right, I will talk to you all soon. Thanks again.
Okay. Thanks again, Amanda.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Cool. And then there were two.
And then they got drunk. We both got.
Did someone want to join? Did you say?
Yeah, but then he did not. He did not send me his email because I'd have to find it somewhere in the table. And I think he's not on the call anymore. Otherwise, he'd probably send it to me.
Cool.
Andy?
Yeah.
I really want to discuss this with you. Today has been enough.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Mary. I've very much enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for you were really here, I think, for the entire event with me. So the speakers came and went, but you were always here, and awesome contribution to the debate and the Q&A panel. So thank you very much, Andy.
No, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon. And thanks to our guests who are still with us as well. See you on the flip side.
Yeah, I'll contact you over email to discuss further. Okay.
Yeah, cool, mate. All right, take it easy.
Thanks. Bye. So, everyone, thanks again for joining us. We will be signed off after 10 hours and 15 minutes. How many people are still online? It's 8 and me. And you. So, 9, I think. Well done, us. Yes. We made it. We made it to the end. Thank you again all for joining us. I had a blast, especially since the beer started. All joking aside, it was great, and we will be doing the event again. I don't know if it's going to be once a year or maybe twice, but we'll definitely be back. And thank you for your warm comments, and it was very nice to set this up for you, and I hope you enjoyed it very much. Thank you all, and I wish you a great day, a great evening, wherever you are. Bye-bye.